Good evening, friends. Thanks for joining me as usual at this time. Thanks for your valuable comments, your feedback, and suggestions. It's very valuable to me. With so much of evidence emerging by way of videos, images, WhatsApp chats, photos on the SSR case, we have much more news about what happened in the Sushant case and can finally put the pieces together in this giant jigsaw puzzle. It has taken us almost a year to do this. Many of us have been doing this. Today, our guest is Bharat, a product software consultant and an avid SSRian who, like many of us, has taken a keen interest in the case and says he's put together many findings that may connect the links and give it a clearer picture. Welcome, Bharat, to the show. Candid Meera.
Thank you for having me, Meena. It's an honor. It's a pleasure, I would say. And I have been following the sessions that you have been conducting in the past, and related to this particular case for almost over like 7-8 months. I myself got into this particular campaign majorly in the month of September. Prior to that, I was just on the sidelines, just watching what's happening and what people are up to. So I actually got into this campaign by starting a ride, which I did from Delhi to Mumbai and back from Mumbai to Delhi. That was for SSR. A note to him that was, I dedicated that ride to him, in short. But from there, everything started. I went to Mumbai. I visited these places. I visited Mount Blanc, I visited Galaxy in Malad, where everything transpired. The very shocking thing that got me more into this is that when I started talking to people around there when I was in Mumbai, be it in front of Disha Salian's house, be it in front of SSR's house. Very recently, this news, I have already shared this information with people on the social media, that the police presence in Mount Blanc on 14th was, it started at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. And we all got to know about police presence in and around, you can say like what, 12ish, 1ish, somewhere around that. So it's like, why was the police there at 8:30 a.m.? So that struck me really hard, and then I got it into more like, there's something really wrong here. There's something which has just been like painted like a picture in front of us, like an illusion, and asked us that, okay, this is it and you have to believe this, but that's not the actual truth.
In fact, there were two sets of police, isn't it?
Exactly.
Someone who weirdly resembled Aditya Pancholi also.
Well, I won't say no. I won't say he was him, because if we see the picture, if we look at the picture, the person whom you are referring is a lot fairer than what we see in the picture.
So that was a fake. That was a fake image.
Not a fake image. I won't say it was him, because the guy is wearing a mask. It could be someone who had same kind of face textures, I would say. But again, it could be anything.
So what was Suraj Pancholi doing outside the gate?
Well, that again is a question to be asked. $1 million question, which people have been forgetting these days. People are not asking.
And why did Sandeep Singh, after all this, going to the the hospital and the crematorium, call Zarina Wahab after that?
Not just that, but as soon as CBI takes over the case, he takes a flight to Delhi. He flies to Delhi to meet someone, and he returns like a covered guy, so that no one knows what he's up to. So see, Sandeep Singh, any which ways, is a very shady character. He has been a shady character since we are seeing June 14th on news channels, right? So if we see, he was looking like an operations manager over there at that location at Mount Blanc. He has a couple of theories to explain. First, he says that, I went with Mahesh Shetty, wherein yes, there are pictures of him with Mahesh Shetty on 14th of June. Downstairs, not inside Mount Blanc, but downstairs where the ambulance was parked.
Yeah.
However, on Republic, the same guy says that I have seen the height of the ceiling. When Arnab asks him where, he says, I went to the room. I went till the room. Arnab again asks him, did they allow you inside the room? No, I was standing outside.
Mm.
And then again, there's one Congress politician who says that he was with me.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of theories revolving around each and every character. If you talk
Yeah.
about Sandeep Pithani, uh, you know, day one, the theory was that the door was actually broken. The key lock, the locksmith was not able to, like make a key or fix it in time, so the door was
Mm.
broken.
Yeah.
In next 2 days, a theory pops out that there was a locksmith who actually got into play and, fixed the door. And even if the locksmith was there,
Mm.
staying in Bandra, staying in that vicinity, wouldn't he know whose house that was?
Mm.
Because the kind of statements that they have given out sounded all scripted,
Yeah.
completely scripted.
See, Bharat, if you were to look at, see now what we are doing is sort of revisiting what happened on 14th June. Okay, but if you were to look at if you were to look at the whole scenario, one thing you must understand is that this is a clear mission by foreign forces, especially Pakistan, to weaken India, not only through terrorism but also through a proxy war. Unlike pushing arms, they did like they did during the Bombay riots, where Sanjay Dutt stocked weapons and was jailed for it, which was followed by the 26/11 attack. This proxy war we are talking about is through drug trafficking and human trafficking. And Pakistan's intention is to weaken the moral fabric of India. That can be done only by making the next generation hooked on drugs, sex, etc. A form of narco terrorism which can remove any positive influence on youngsters, like focusing on their careers, loss of identity, cultural values, and patriotism, values that help in building a strong nation. The intense attack on drug suppliers by Samir Wankade and his NIA team has now revealed the underbelly of Mumbai. Meanwhile, NIA is also working simultaneously in other major cities in India, prominently Karnataka, Kerala, Goa. In our previous videos, we've explained the modus operandi of how black money is pumped through Bollywood films and how shell companies are fronts for money laundering or hawala. See, the whole thing, see, if you're looking at it, it's not, it's not something that is just alone by itself in isolation. The whole thing is connected. If Sushant was undergoing this, Sushant was already targeted right from the beginning. The moment he started showing his talent, and the fact that he may end up a superstar. So things change. Yeah. Yes.
So before going to SSR here, I would just like to touch base upon
Yeah.
the Pakistan factor that you spoke about.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, this is something which is not new.
Mm.
Okay, this is not at all new. It has been happening since 90s
Yeah.
because of you could say this is something which has been happening since 90s, since the bomb blast happened, and how the mafia took over Mumbai, took
Yeah.
over India in a way, because Mumbai
Yeah.
happens to be economic capital of India. And this, what we are facing right now, the next generation that you referred to, which has gone ahead and normalized everything around us, be it drugs, be it sex. People have started doing that already.
Mm.
Drugs are very normalized and very low key these days in any area if you go
Yeah.
across throughout the country,
Yes.
right? So it is an economic warfare that we are straight on heading towards.
Yeah.
This is what it is. Now
Mm.
people go on to touch base upon very basic countries like Pakistan, Dubai. But do you think that since last decade, if Pakistan and Dubai have been under radar,
Mm.
wouldn't that be changed to some place like Indonesia
Mm.
or Singapore
Or Malaysia. Yeah. Yeah.
or Malaysia?
Mm.
And trust me, they've already
Mm.
shifted. If you talk about these modeling agencies,
And even
they
China.
have got us. Yes, China, that is something which I won't say
Mm.
because Chinese don't go that well with Indians,
No,
even if
but
it
you remember
is.
there was a piece of news where Kwan wanted to open a company in China. Don't forget that.
There was, and China was the country which was, like pumping up the maximum revenue for their movies as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there could be a lot of backdoor entries. I agree to that. But mainly, why I'm saying Singapore or Indonesia is because the modeling agencies, their modus operandi is to see they don't have these many assignments for models
Yeah.
in comparison with the number of models which are working with them. Okay. Uh, if you talk about a small time modeling agency,
Mm.
we have a lot of agencies around. I stay in Delhi, so we have nearby. There's one agency. I won't take name, but though they literally charge people, common people, to get clicked or to get snapped by models of Splitsvilla and models of roadies and
Mm.
things like those. So this is something wherein uh, it's a kind of a chain which
Mm.
generates money from normal people, be it by luring them towards eye candies and getting them clicked or making money from them, be it going ahead and spreading a network of youngsters, good looking youngsters, who are luring people into drugs and who are luring people into these kind of parties,
Yeah.
because their main agenda is to just give them these drugs just once or maybe twice,
Mm.
take them to that kind of a situation wherein they try it, and
Mm.
automatically they would get used to it.
Yeah.
That is how they are setting their base. It's not just with drugs, it's not just with modeling. It
Mm.
has also got to do a lot with cricket. It has
Yeah.
also got a lot to do with whatever is happening around within the corporates as well, in Mumbai, be it through government.
Mm.
Because we already have witnessed what's happening around with the Mansukh Hiren case,
Mm. Mm.
100 crores a month.
Mm.
So a lot of things have been coming out. So extortion rackets, betting scandals, they
So,
have
so
drugs, they have
yeah. So Bharat,
prostitution. Yeah.
yeah. So Bharat, see, we are basically talking about a link between companies like Quon, Cornerstone, and then you're talking about PR and media, controlled by certain people. Then you're talking about also journalists, who write these sort of features for the stars. So it's all a big club where each one is interacting. You remember in the case of Kwan, the CEO of Kwan, was supposed to be giving jobs to these aspiring models and actresses. But what he was doing in the process was molesting them. And he was finally caught in the Me Too movement. You remember? So he was, this also they just did it for to show the public that they were removing him, but he was still very much with Kwan. Now, Kwan was also connected with a very big superstar,
Yes.
and they also who used to have shell companies, and it's because of these shell companies that they this got Sushant got involved in that. He paid a lot of money to Kwan, then Kwan in turn gave some money to Ria, you know and then they started these shell companies which were supposed to be NGOs or whatever, but there was no money there as earlier shown. The ED was checking them, and all this was happening. You remember, Bharat, this was happening in the initial stages. ED was doing a very efficient job of getting all these people on board and questioning them. Then you saw the chats, the WhatsApp chats between the people like Jaya Saha, and Shruti Modi, So it was also learnt that these drugs were being given at parties, you know, and
Exactly. Exactly.
and all these conversations with these superstars and all that, each were asking for some mal, you know, which they later interpreted as cigarettes, you know.
There was also a cocoa party into question. I don't
Yes,
know whether that particular club has been still questioned or not, or that has
yeah,
been just subsided
yeah,
by providing a chunk of money to them. But if you
yeah,
talk about models,
mm,
if you talk about mid-time models like Priya Chakravarti, who are
mm,
usually mediocres in this
mm,
line of business, uh, they usually doesn't get a lot of assignments.
mm,
Okay, I'm telling it from experience because I have seen a lot of modeling agencies, closely. I have a lot of acquaintances, peers who have been directly associated with them. So, in the name of assignments, They just simply, make them travel to countries like Dubai, Singapore, Indonesia, and they try getting them into something different. If they are not, if they are not having a good run with modeling as models for brands, then they try putting them into things like, drugs, things like, setting up traps for people, be it through prostitution, be it through drug abuse. I think whatever we are seeing currently, for in an aspect of Riya Chakravarti, uh, it exactly implicates towards that.
Yeah.
That's what I
And
would say.
yeah, and also see, it's everything is connected to certain superstars. Okay, whether you're talking about Cornerstone or and all these people who are managing the IPL cricketers. See, why would you see only Virat Kohli in all the ads, or why do you see only Alia Bhatt in all the ads? I mean, she's not the prettiest woman in the world, or he's not the most handsome man in the world. There are taller men with very chiseled features who could easily be modeling, but we see the same people again and again. Who is pushing the agenda and through who? So then you have companies that are very clear about the agenda. Even now, in South, they're pushing these actors into the South as well, where you have the most beautiful actresses. You don't need to import them from Maharashtra. You need to bring actresses from there. So there is a very, very, an agenda, very targeted agenda, where only certain things will be pushed into our movies. And
Right.
once you're in this coterie, you better follow the rules. See what happened to Sushant. How many 7 to 8 production houses did not like the way he worked. Maybe he was too independent, he was too intelligent, and he didn't go for these parties that they invited him to. So maybe he didn't gel into that. And then see, you put him into contracts which give him very less money. Naturally he'll wriggle out because he doesn't want to. He could easily get a bigger amount. So now you see a Shekhar Kapoor lamenting about not having intelligent people to discuss things with. Okay, you are the people who destroyed him. You never even stood with him. When he was undergoing depression, Shekhar Kapoor very well knew that he was undergoing depression. Did he lend him a shoulder? No. Now Kangana comes out and says that, see, this other actor who has been thrown out by Karan Johar, should not end up the way Sushant has ended up, as in committing suicide. Who told you it's a suicide, Kangana? Sushant never committed a suicide. We all know it's a murder. So please do
She's an
not put things.
opportunist.
Yeah. So please do not put. See, what's happening is these people, they are cashing in on Sushant Singh's name, and jumping the ladder. But they don't know that there's a very discerning public who is very
Right.
clear about what they need to see and who they need to follow. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is what's happening, starting from Virat Kohli,
Yeah.
uh, as you mentioned. See,
Yeah.
I don't think Virat Kohli is being only given all the ads because of some kind of favoritism, but yes, it could be a very well orchestrated marketing strategy. Because India, Indians, we as Indians, we dig cricket. Okay, and
But there are
when
other.
earlier
But
it was
there are other cricketers, right? Why am I not seeing any
exactly.
other cricketers? Yeah.
Exactly. Now, let me give you one reason for that. Because Virat Kohli happens to be the person. I'm not being biased here towards Kohli. Even I don't like him. I used to like MSD better prior to what happened with SSR. But post that, I've just, I've not been an MSD fan any which ways. If you talk about Kohli, he's the first person to bring the Indian team's fitness level from here to here. So, just to show him as an icon, a fitness icon of India who has, like invested a lot of himself towards the game and changed the game entirely. So that could be one of the reason, a marketing strategy, I would say. Next, he is a husband to a Bollywood star, right? That's another brownie point to to his profile. Now, if you talk about Alia Bhatt, a, a pure product of nepotism. So she's just there because of nepotism. Because what happens with the models who are actually struggling, who are doing something? who are trying to, give their head and heart towards their work. Nothing. They're still struggling, and they're getting into drugs and destroying themselves.
Yeah.
Now, as far as SSR is concerned, see, there were 7 pictures. He was promised to be offered Bajirao Mastani, which could have turned out to be one of the better hits than what actually it is because of SSR. I would say that. So there were a lot of movies which were taken away by him. Or what we are seeing about Kartik Aaryan fiasco since the last 2 days, it exactly seems like it, but it also seems like a very cliched planted thing. So there are two ways to look at it, right? So if you talk about Kangna Ranaut, yes, she suddenly took a U-turn, which was very, very saddening and hurtful to see because she was the first one to raise the voice for SSR in the hardest way. Apart, from that particular industry when no one was raising their voice. So all of a sudden saying that he hung himself, sorry, ma'am, you're mistaken, and she has already utilized the opportunity she had. Now she'll face the wrath of the nation, who is very frustrated because SSR is not getting justice anytime soon, considering whatever is happening, considering the agencies are just quiet, considering that things might have popped out through this Waze case. I don't know where it's heading to because one of the NIA official has been transferred.
Yeah.
Mr. Shukla, I guess that's what his name is, right? He has been transferred. The CBI director changed in the middle of the case. So who's handling all this? Who's handling the bigger gun?
See,
And if you talk about, yeah,
yeah, Bharat, see, why I spoke about, Virat Kohli is that, see, there's a big connect with the IPL, the whole IPL thing. Because, see, IPL match itself, there is, match fixing, but more importantly are the after parties after each show. So what happens at these after parties is, again, we all know what it is. It's all drugs and, sex and everything. So what happens is these are the venues where they make their money. It's like the rave parties that they have in Goa and other places where children are addicted to drugs. They're given drugs and they, slowly they change. So what happens is, again, see, Bharat, what I'm trying to get back is that, see, this is a vicious circle. It's not about Virat Kohli and how nice he is or how his health concerns or whatever. What is happening is that, see, a company like Cornerstone manages these cricketers' lives and their wives' lives, and they bring them together. See, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Also, so what happens is there is something going on between the company and these cricketers. So again, see, this is all it's a chain, and you have all these these shell companies. We're
it's a
talking
money game.
about, yeah, it's these shell companies that some cricketers have. So we can't name them, but there are some shell companies that they have, and it's through this that they whitewash the money. So if all this doesn't happen, so in a sense, what Sushant Singh's this thing has happened. See, they forced Sushant Singh to start a company with Ria and Shavik. Earlier Imtiaz tried his best, but it didn't work, and then finally Ria tried to convince him, and then he started a couple of companies, to develop AI apps and other stuff. But what happened was there was no money happening in that happening in that company. This is what the ED revealed. Okay, so they were, see, if you're coming back to Sushant Singh, in some way they were trying to bring him and use him, deplete him, drug him, make him useless, and then throw him, which has happened to many cases, many people. That is because you do not, join the gang. Perhaps that happened to the Karthikeyan also. You see, Karthikeyan is a talented actor. Perhaps that happened to him as well. Now, this is not the case only in Sushant's case. It's happened in many other cases, like Parveen Babi and Jia Khan and Divya Bharti, Sri Devi. A lot of these people. Now,
Disha Salian.
yeah, Disha. And see, what happened was perhaps like you said, Bharat, Disha would, since she was working in Cornerstone, and she was managing the finances of Sushant. She would have come to know what's happening behind this. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So what I feel is because Shruti Modi's leg was fractured, that was the only reason why Disha got appointed to Sushant. And it had only been like a week or 10 days, or maybe 15, 20 days after which this unfortunate incident happened. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But yeah, that is what happened. But however, when post Disha, from 8th to 14th, he was in touch with Uday because Shruti Modi had a fracture in her leg. Now, if you talk about June, we'll come back to Disha, but if you talk about June 13th afternoon, there are calls made by one particular director to Sushant. Not director, but I guess Uday itself.
Uday. There were a million calls.
Yes.
Million calls from him.
So, I mean, calling back and forth Sushant and Riya, what was the reason? And just post that, Sushant's phone gets inactive. Doesn't make sense. Now, coming back to Disha Salian, see, there's not much info available now on the social media. There have been a lot of fashion designers and actors who had posted photographs of the 7th June party. Like implying who was there, who was not there. We could actually make out
Bharat,
the entire vicinity.
Could you Bharat, tell us more about the 7th night party?
See, what the news that's there out in the social media is that Disha either saw something. There are two things. Either saw something which was very objectionable.
You could talk about the party itself. Where was it? Where was it and what was it?
It was. We all know where it was.
A big producer.
Exactly, a big producer. Son of a legendary actor, an alleged legendary actor, and daughter. My bad. Yeah. So yeah, my bad. Okay. Now the party was there.
These were some hints given by Steve Pinto, in coded language, and who was a very close friend to Disha.
Exactly. So it's not just that, but in fact, Rohan Rai, came to know about it as well because there are a lot of people saying that he was a part of the party as well, but no pictures of him being there.
He was. Yeah, because he was acting in the producers' serials.
That is correct. That is right. In fact, Rashmi Desai, I will take her name because even Republic tried reaching out to her a couple of times. But she sounded very tricky, very, very shady when she reverted that I don't want to talk about it. And when she was called later on, she just simply disconnected the calls and kept on avoiding them. So it was Rashmi Desai needs to be questioned. She needs to be grilled. She knows a lot. Not just her, but also there are a few guests in the party. One of the very well-known fashion designers, MM, and you can actually check his Instagram. Yep, you can check his Instagram.
I checked it.
The shocking part is that we have his picture with the birthday girl, and just after that, the next post is about children abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tried browsing back 2 to 3 years back to his Instagram to check whether he has ever posted a children abuse post. No, never. What popped up in his mind? Just post the incidents. So that was again very shady there. There are a lot of things that these people have left out in the open for anyone to spot it and tell it that it's a script that has been written which has failed miserably, just like their movies. And that's what has happened here. It's not just like the 7th night party, but there is also an alleged party that is said to be happening on June 14th, June 13th.
So first let's do this one, talk about this one, and then move on to
Okay. So Disha Salian, if we know about her, whatever happened in the party, people say that she might have...
Bharat, I'll just interrupt you here. See, here what her mother said was that she was very reluctant to go for the party when she was speaking to Z. and she said that she was very reluctant to go for the party. But her friends, which meant Rohan also, were insisting that she go for the party. And what she did was she told her parents that she will, make something after she comes back. She'll come back early and she'll make some dinner. So that's how she went, and the car came. The car honked her friends, and that's how she went. So here again, you see the same scenario as Janvi Kukreja. She went there very reluctantly because knowing the kind of people who would be there at the party.
Exactly, and as people say that Disha being someone who say things, in Hindi we call it barbola, who say
Yeah.
things without even thinking. They're very blunt, out in the open.
Yeah.
So she might have said something to somebody who has passed on information within the group. And Disha got a hint of it that this could be a possibility.
Yeah.
She went to the party. Even Rohan Rai, if Rohan Rai might have insisted her, okay, let's go, everything will be fine, all will be fine. So if Rohan Rai was there, then what was the need of Disha to take a cab and leave? And go to the same flat where Rohan Rai was also there in Malad. Because from the party, she straight away went to Malad.
Yeah.
In the way, she called SSR twice.
No, see here again, Bharat, there is an explanation. Okay. Here the explanation is that the producer called them because she discussed something. Okay. Then the producer called them and said that, see, you go back. Okay. He will come later. Okay. You go back. Yeah. So that's how perhaps they went separately. So there may have been some intention there. I do not know.
True. I mean, intentions certainly were there.
Yeah.
That's the
and
only
we don't know
reason.
if it's true also.
Yeah. I mean, these are the talks.
Yeah.
Which are, could be rumors, but they connect very well. They connect very well in a way.
And see, at this party, Bharat, there were politicians, there were top actors, there were designers, there were also
founders of NGOs,
bodyguards, founders of, and there were some bodyguards as well.
Yeah, you're getting it
and
right.
something happened very, very weird.
Something very objectionable, I would say.
Yeah.
That is the only reason maybe that fashion designer posted about children abuse.
Yeah.
Just after that party. Maybe he didn't like it. Maybe he was hinting, but no one knows. Right now, Disha Salian left in a haste from the party. Everyone knows that. She left in a haste.
Do you think Sushant would have come there at that time? She called him and would he have come?
I don't think. If she would have, because she would have not wanted SSR to come in the first place.
Yeah.
Because she was the one who warned SSR while on the way back home from the party that don't get out of your house. This was in the news for quite a long time. That don't get out of the house no matter what, because things are getting right. Now, while going, she also called police 100. Why nobody is questioning that? I mean, there were no records. And how can police be so carefree that, such an important case for which a lot of things are already missing, a lot of doubts are already rising, a file gets deleted from your system by mistake?
But then that's Mumbai police for you.
True. True, exactly. But there's one thing that I wanted to ask to everyone. Why can we not ask the agencies to simply pull the cameras like the way they did in Wazir's case?
Yeah.
In the locality, they could track everything. Because I have seen the locality, the vicinity where Disha stays, there are cameras in every other turn. Right, there are cameras from where they can locate the car, they can locate the vehicle, that which vehicle did they take her in, a lot of things, who entered the society, who did not. Even if the society's CCTV, I guess the society's CCTV has not even been questioned. Galaxy CCTV has not even been questioned.
But Bharat, see, you remember, when these, these news reports in Republic were happening, a watchman in the same building very clearly said that somebody had come, had put the whole scenario he described, and the body was nowhere. If she had fallen from such a height, it would have fallen straight down. No, but the body was somewhere else. So and then again the fact that she was without clothes. Okay, So what happened? And where was, if she had fallen from such height, there would have been blood all over, and there were cars
Exactly.
around. Nothing happened,
Exactly.
and then there was a very deep wound in her, just below her mouth,
Sure.
as though
Yeah.
something had pierced, into her, this thing. So, and then what happened to the body? You must tell us, because on 11th, only in 11th, it was given a postmortem. What happened for so many days? Where did the body go? And why did this Rai take so much time to come down from his flat?
Exactly. He took approximately around 45 minutes to
Yeah,
step
minutes.
down after this happened. Yeah. Now, see, I've seen the society, okay, and I've seen the spot where the fall happened.
Yeah,
They say the society is, I mean, 14th floor is here. The
yeah,
body went like this,
yeah.
which is not possible
Which is
because
weird. Yeah,
the body weight would, reciprocate to the friction, to the
yeah,
gravity.
yeah,
It
yeah,
would
yeah.
fall. It would not go like this. It
Exactly.
would go
Yeah,
like
to go
this.
down. Exactly.
It would go down, and
People would hear
even
the
if
sound.
it's a push, even
Yeah,
if it's a very hard push, it
yeah,
would fall down. It won't go
yeah,
like on a 17, 18-degree angle.
yeah,
Now, the other thing to notice here is that why were the register pages torn?
yeah.
And on top of that, the particular security guard that you have
Uh,
mentioned about,
was
he's
changed. Yeah,
nowhere to be found.
yeah, yeah,
He's gone. No one knows where he is. I tried searching. I tried
yeah.
finding. The same I did. On top of that, one thing,
Hmm.
13 June night, whosoever was there as a security guard in the entire vicinity in that particular area on that street has been changed.
The
That's
funny thing,
confirmed.
Bharat,
I can.
the
Yeah.
funny thing, see, when I started, trying to do research on Sushant Singh, I looked at some of the reports, and there was a very small news item on his business manager committing suicide by jumping down the top floor. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I was just wondering, why would his business manager, commit suicide? And when this is such a big case, why is this such a small report? So, the police was in a very big hurry to hush the whole thing. You remember, see, Waze joined, on 6th
On
June.
6th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So already, the forces, the government was already working on protecting some very powerful people, you know,
Right.
and they needed someone who was very experienced in this. So that's how this one enters the scene. Now, because of Mansu Kiran, everything is coming out in the open, and we know their modus operandi now. You know, so he would have been called only for this very purpose. Then there were
Exactly.
reports, yeah. Then there were reports that he was also there at the flat, Sushant's flat, on 13th and 14th. Okay,
Yes.
with the ladies.
So yeah. So whatever happened on the 8th,
Mm.
right? It had a straight backlash to 14 because I don't think that if it would have been because of Meetu being present in
Mm.
the house, then whatever had happened with Disha on the 8th would have happened with Sushant on the 8th or 9th as
Yeah,
well, or the following day as well. They wouldn't have stopped because they knew that Sushant had something. That's the only reason that on 8th, a team of technicians, IT technicians, went into his house. They took extracted entire data and they just went away.
yeah.
Right? Otherwise, if he would have had access to it, he would have simply gone ahead and exposed it
But
as he was about
even
to do.
that, see, even that, Bharat, see, Sushant would have given an inkling to Ria that, see, this is what happened to Disha. Now, this is what he's going to expose. So, that would have given a warning signal to Ria that it's high time to pack up and leave the scene. So, she talks about Mahesh Bhatt asking her to, leave the house. But it was actually, to make way for the next movement, which is, as you said,
Exactly.
clean the data, get rid of everything.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
why did the team only came to the house when in the middle of the time when Ria left and Mithuti came? Why not intertwining with any one of them?
yeah,
None. Now, I'm very sure, I'm very certain that as Mr. Pithani had already turned mole in that particular house, all right, he was passing on all the information to
all the
these people.
information.
Now, that is the only reason why Sandeep Singh was present there.
Yeah,
When before media itself, he was already there taking care of things. Uh, However, according to him, he did not meet Sushant for almost 10 months. Now, I have a very strong feeling this particular Mithi River thing, wherein like the
The software,
DVRs have been,
yeah.
yeah,
All was found.
procured. So I have a very strong feeling that could have something or the other related to SSR case. And why
SSR.
I'm saying that is because Mithi River is very close to his house,
Hmm.
is very close to where he used to live, very close to Mount Plan. Now, also the fact that on 14th there was a makeup man coming out
Hmm.
along with Mukesh Chabra.
Yes.
So it's already a script that we are experiencing currently. It's not a case. It's a
Hmm.
script. It has been scripted to the highest level possible,
Hmm.
from the big time politicos to every small time mediocres like Sandeep Singh, or who were just managing the operations around. And I very well am sure of the fact that the builder's son has a big hand in all of this. He has a very big hand because of the fact that Sahil Shah, this guy who was recently in news by NCB, he's directly connected with them.
See, a lady who's investigating the Sridevi death case, which they say is a murder. Okay, she said that during the party in Ras Al Khaimah, he was present. This builder's son was present. Okay, and he was present all through. So you have him, you have Manish Malhotra, okay, Boni Kapoor, all of them were there. So, and
Okay.
she's trying her best to prove that this was a murder. Okay. Now the same people are here also. The scenario is the same. The script is the same. When you take Mansukeres, the script is the same.
The
You
pattern
take
of the case is same.
yeah, yeah.
Sachin
You take
Vaza is
Pooja.
there, yes.
Yeah, you take Pooja Chavan's case. She was a TikTok star. Okay, the case is the same. They say she did suicide. Now, why would this intelligent young girl just take her life? Okay, and
True.
then the audio recordings come that maybe she was pregnant and then she had to undergo something and she died, and then voila, the minister resigns. That's the
Yep.
solution. A girl is killed and you bribe the relatives by giving 5 crores and the whole thing is hushed. So
And
Mumbai has become so famous for all these dirty deeds.
what do you think is happening with Anil Deshmukh resigning?
Yeah,
It's just a you scratch my
yeah,
back, I'll
yeah.
scratch yours.
Mm,
They
mm.
are saving themselves. They're saving each
Yeah,
other's, and they are throwing each other under the bus. They
yeah,
have become very unpredictable because the situation in Maharashtra is getting worse now
yeah,
because of what Waze has gotten himself into.
yeah. Here again, Bharat, I'd like to put one more point across. You remember this a lady called Rohini Iyer?
Yeah,
She has an agency called Raindrops. Okay, she
I
is
heard about that.
managing. Yeah, she is managing the PR for Shiv Sena. Okay, she
Yeah.
was a very close friend to Sushant. Okay, during
Yes.
the shooting of Kedarnath, what happened was instead of them pushing Sushant, they pushed Sara Ali Khan. Okay, and he came to know about this only later, Sushant. Then he would have kept a
Right.
distance with this lady. Now,
And she's the lady in whose party Ria and Sushant made as well.
yes, and
In the first.
yes, and also see one thing we must remember is that these are the people who build or destroy a star through articles. They can make them a drunk, a rapist, and say that see he has a terrible temper. See the pattern is there from right. Divya Bharti. Divya Bharti
Right.
was also a very beautiful actress, but suddenly, rumors was that she was not cooperating, during the shootings, and she was drinking, but she doesn't come from such a family. So that was one thing. Again, same thing about Parveen Babi. Same thing about Jia Khan. So it's so easy for the PR team with their list of media who are paid heavily to build or to destroy a star. So they tried their best with Sushant.
Exactly. They did.
They tried their best
They
with
did.
Sushant,
They did.
and
Yeah.
Ria added to it by taking video recordings, which she showed in ZTV, where she is trying her best to show that he was a drug addict. But the public
But
is
she's
very
the one who
intelligent.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
public is very intelligent, and they know who is doing all this because there were so many WhatsApp chats. Where were the drugs coming from, and who was giving him the drugs?
True. Now, if you see, everything, everything is there out in the open in front of us since almost like October. In August, September, and October, these were the 3 months when things were opening back to back, when everyone was getting shocked. Okay, this is also there. This is also there. From the reliable sources, from the news channels, from a lot of places. Some people tried digging on their own, so got a lot of information from there. But from the last 4 to 5 months, or you may say 6 months, what has happened is people are waiting for something new.
Yeah.
Why would they want something new? I mean, isn't it already enough for us to even digest that has happened? I mean, two souls, very innocent, I would say, lost their lives for nothing. I mean, and this is something with SSR, whatever has been happened, it has been happening for a long time. It is a very well structured, organized, orchestrated crime, which started, I guess, in the month of October, November last year, 2019.
See, another thing is, Bharat, see, when we talk about people like Rohini, then we move on to the journalists. Then you must also realize, see, the kind of lawyer that Ria has. Okay, he's the highest paid lawyer. Now, what does this man do? Yeah, the moment he realizes that she is going through a bad patch because of all what's coming, he started, whitewashing her image by calling friendly media and giving scripted interviews. So the first one, who did it was Rajdeep Sardesai, and he messed it up. Everybody realized what he was doing.
No, it was a good comedy show.
Yeah.
It was a
So it
good comedy
happened.
show.
Yeah. So it happened with all the media, and again, public were not fooled. What I'm trying to tell you, Bharat, is that see, at every stage, public has been standing with Sushant Singh's soul. At no point have they been given, have they given themselves, to these PR forces, or these vested forces. So the agenda clearly did not work.
True, it did not. And
Yeah.
public has been standing, but now the frustration is raising amongst all. That's what I have felt. People have reached out to me stating that now we feel like giving up. There's nothing left in this campaign. There's no fire. No one is talking about it. Only NCP is like going ahead and catching mediocres and just giving us news of big people being involved, but they're not doing anything to them. No one's being touched. What happened to the questioning that happened for all those actresses?
Yeah.
Back to back, there was a you know I mean, it was horrible to see the kind of like names which were coming out day after day. Uh, there's some day that the best actress gets spotted with NCB. There are some days when
But here,
uh, you know
here too, Bharat, there is a reason. Okay, one thing is that see, you have these three federal agencies. Okay, the NCB can clearly show what they're doing. Okay, ED can clearly show, but what these lawyers say about the the what do you call the third federal agency is that they cannot talk openly. Okay, whatever they have, they will give it as a report to the Supreme Court, and based on facts. So what's happening is the people they are facing, the CBI is facing, are themselves the biggest crooks, who are 10 times more intelligent than everybody else. Don't think these lawyers are all very simple and all that. They've won a lot of cases. They know how to, manipulate things. So what these lawyers say is that, see, unless they have a clear-cut case where everybody is guilty with proper proof, they cannot come out. I understand what you're saying about the viewers saying that they're frustrated, but if you go with a half-baked case, again you are out. So you need
Makes
a
sense.
proper, you need a proper,
Yeah.
what did I this thing to get through. They are not simple people. These people are very, very intelligent, and they know exactly what the next step is before any of us do.
See, it certainly is a time-taking procedure, and a case that would take at least 6 to 8 months more, I would say, according to me. And I won't say that things would be closed in next 2 months or 1 month or
Yeah.
3 months. No,
Yeah.
it might take a long time. A lot of cases like Sunanda Pushkars and a lot of cases like Arushi's took time. Arushi closed as there was not much evidence found.
Here
So
also,
people are
Bharat, I'll just,
scared.
yeah,
Yeah,
let me just interrupt you here, Bharat. If you were watching the Arushik case very closely, you know, that is also linked to something like partner swapping. I don't know if you study the case.
that's
Huh?
subjective. Yes, that's subjective, and that's
No,
a
no,
little
no, no, no,
personal for me
no,
to get into.
no. Yeah, yeah. So that was something that they were covering up. Okay.
Yeah,
And that was something the child was aware of.
yeah,
Okay. And that had to be hushed. Okay. Similarly, in what was the problem in Sunanda's case? Sunanda was going to reveal about the IPL. You hacky packy behind the IPL, and she made it very clear to the media, not realizing that half of the media are paid media, and they would go to the bosses, and tell them that, see, this is going to happen. Please do what you have to do. So that's how she was. Here also, Bharat, see, there was CCTV footage which the hotel clearly said that they gave the police. The police were the ones who covered it up.
right.
At that time there was another government, you know, and under another regime. You see, so everything here also, what is happening is they have everything was destroyed. Evidence was destroyed. They were working backwards. You know,
Yep.
and they were saying, everybody was saying, what were they saying? That, see, what did the Mahavikas Agadi say, or rather Shiv Sena's mouthpiece said that Sushant was an immoral man. Now,
Well,
and they raised
yeah.
Ria to the heights of an angel. So, what are, I mean, are they crazy? What
That's an
does that?
unfortunate country we are living in
Yeah.
currently.
So,
What they
sure.
have
So,
made it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they will fight for their to protect their people, and we as public will continue to fight. What I'll tell you, Bharat, is that, see, I really don't care about who's giving up in the public. Okay, people who have been working continuously on this will never give up, because this, we have to, get justice for Sushant. And we will not rest till we do that. Okay,
That
so,
certainly is the need of the hour.
yeah, so Bharat also realized the fact that there is a PR working, to push this, to say that people are fed up. Now this case is going to close like Arushi or Sunanda case. Let that not happen, because people are
Motivated by
not
money.
fools. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Yep. No, that's very true. But again, there are a lot of disconnects, or there are a lot of things that public has gone on to offer in
Yeah,
the social media
yeah.
from their own findings.
Mm.
Now, things like like people say that in the Mount Blanc on
Yeah.
13th night till 14th there was no CCTV functionality. I mean, the CCTV that's there was not functional. But why people didn't raise the question that there are four CCTVs?
Yeah.
I've seen the place. There are four CCTVs covering the entrance
Yeah.
from different places where they have been placed. Not just that, if the CCTV out there in the Mount Blanc is not working, what about the adjacent societies or adjacent buildings which are there, or maybe a CCTV which is installed at the end of the road near the pawn shop where Sushant used to go every other day in the morning, to walk on that particular road. He used to walk. He used to move around. He didn't used to just stay in home. So there are CCTV cameras. Why couldn't they track,
But
these
then
things like they did
again,
it?
Bharat, here the fact is that, see, they were all conniving. You're talking about the police force working for the politicians, okay, and the Bollywood, which also were deeply, into this. So everybody wanted their backs covered. So everything was
Right.
systematically done. There was no federal agencies at that time. They came in much later, okay. Whereas in the case of Waze, NIA has already come in. So everything is
Uh,
being revealed.
the
Yeah,
big tower
that's,
is in the play.
yeah, yeah, and they can't hide anything. So
Yeah, and
that
it's
would
it's
be the
very
truth.
simple.
Yeah,
See now, why did the ambulance on the 14th take 4 hours to reach Cooper from Mount
yeah,
Bank, which hardly takes 40-45 minutes in the peak
huh,
traffic?
yeah,
So that again is a question to be asked. Now, there are videos of SSR's fingers moving,
moving.
maybe due to rigor mortis.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, but so if that's rigor mortis, then it
Mm.
means that it's been almost 12 to 15 hours since the
Yeah.
demise had happened. That's
Yes,
the
it
only
is.
reason why
It
the
is.
rigor
Yeah,
mortis
that's a
came.
fact.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
the tummy is bloated. He had six-pack abs.
Yeah.
How the tummy would bloat if he had
And you
hung himself in a
if you would have also noticed that his clothes were changed. Okay.
Yes, they were.
And the body that the body that was burnt had a beard, whereas the one on the bed did not have a beard. You see, there's a lot of hanky panky that's happening. There were two bodies apparently, because the when they took out the body, it was too long. I mean, Sushant can't be about 12 feet long. You know, it was a very, very long body. You know, so there are lots of
See, I
things.
would say there could be two bodies, or along with SSR's body, there could be the tools which were used to torture him. Because there was a big stun gun into the play. People say that the stun gun only involves bullets, but in fact, today I urged people to look into rodeo tasers, which are used, on horses to tame mad
Yeah,
horses, and they are easily available without license to ranch owners.
yeah.
So that is something which also needs to be looked at. So a lot of angles, there are a lot of things which have been just kept out in the open. Their
See,
biggest mistake.
uh,
Uh,
see, Bharat, what I feel, yeah, I'll just interrupt you here. See, what these forces would have thought, that because Sushant and Disha belong to middle class families, their demise would not have created this much of fuss. If they were well connected, people would have raised their eyebrows. They thought the death of these two people would have just gone off, and people would have ignored it and gone off with their lives. Okay.
they would forget
But
with time.
yeah, but this did not happen, because Sushant Singh, his soul, has made sure that this is not going to happen, that he's going to make everybody join hands with him to find out what is the cause and why it's happening to so many people.
SSR is the most strongest or the most powerful soul that I have come across in my life, and I'm lucky to be, like seeing an existence of such kind of a soul when I was there. So, in my old age, I could say that I have seen a person like SSR, and it would be a proud thing for me to say, because these are one in a million people. They don't just, get
See,
born every day.
he was a
He
Shiva
was a
Bhakt. Okay, he would get up early in the morning, chant mantras. Okay, and he was such a big bhakt that he would sing bhajans. He would do, and a fitness freak. He would look after his body. He would go to the gym. He would play tennis. So a simple soul like him, who wanted to do many things in life, other than acting. He wanted to create apps, and he was working with Samir on this. And also the fact that, see, they were coordinating with an American to bring out these apps, and suddenly these apps are missing, and then it goes into the hands of some idiots, who then launch it and say that they've suddenly become AI experts.
But that didn't work. That
It
didn't
didn't
work.
work.
That didn't work at all,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
people
So
knew.
could you,
People
because
had
you're in that field, yeah, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
See, if you talk about the AI app that he was working on, it was actually related to that application, uh, detecting using the voice of a person
Yeah, COVID.
whether he's COVID positive or negative.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, there was a game as well which he was working with, which he
yeah.
was working on. Now there are a lot of coding pages which have been out, in his
Donut.
handwritten format, that has been rolled out in the social media.
Mm,
People have gone through it.
yeah.
The thing that one needs to connect here is that the day when SSR died,
Mm,
Sameer Bhangra also died.
mm,
He died in a bike accident. That particular bike belonged to a person who was very closely connected to a couple of producers in Bollywood.
yeah.
It was not Sameer
Yeah,
Bhangra's
it
bike.
was not his bike. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not his bike. Again, he died on the same day,
Yeah.
and who he was partnered with, everyone knows it. And there's an AI game that he launched. Again,
Yeah.
it didn't work because people know.
Yeah. And they were
People
busy trying to sue people left and right, even if they mentioned it.
exactly,
Connected
exactly.
to one superstar.
I'm waiting for my notice soon, I should say, because I've taken Sameer Bhangra's name and his partner.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, you've
so
not mentioned.
they
You
do
have
it.
not mentioned the partner's name.
Exactly, I didn't. But again,
You mentioned
respect.
a man who's dead. That's it.
Right. Right. But see, if you talk about Sameer Bhangra, so his death has not been questioned a lot. Really needs to be questioned.
And talk
The
about
next thing is
the other deaths. What about the other deaths? Around
Sandeep
12
Nahar.
people.
Sandeep Nahar, first of all, if you talk about Sandeep Nahar, on 15th of June, he has an
Yeah,
Instagram post saying hashtag CBI for SSR.
yeah,
Why did he know on 15th of June that they would require CBI? He
yeah.
certainly knew something. Deaths like Preksha Mehta,
Manmeet,
Manmeet Singh
Manmeet
Grewal.
Grewal,
Yes,
yeah,
Manmeet Grewal. Preksha Mehta is there. There's also Sameer Sharma,
yeah.
uh,
Krish
Lisa
Kapoor,
Smith,
Krish Kapoor.
Steve Pinto. Yes. So there are a lot of people who died.
And you will note, Bharat, that all these people, whether it was Manmeet Grewal, Sachin Kumar, Preksha Mehta, Krish Kapoor, Disha Salian, Agnes Lisa Smith, okay, Sushant, there was a Nepali girl, Steve Pinto, as you mentioned, Sameer Bangaria, then you have Anupama, Pathak, Sameer Sharma, and so all
The
connected in
matter
a
is same.
strange way, yeah, to child trafficking.
See, if you talk about child trafficking, that is something which still there are no confirmed news of child trafficking. I
That's
mean,
because they
there
didn't
are
expose it.
connections though. Yes, there are connections though. But if you talk about child trafficking, I certainly believe that there are a lot of things which are about to come or may come in future
Yeah, yeah,
very soon
yeah,
related to child trafficking because you know NCB, wherever they
yeah.
are right now, I
Mm,
mean, the zone that they are searching on,
yeah.
they would certainly connect with things related to child trafficking.
Mm,
Now, there's one more theory, okay, there
yeah.
that always bugs my mind. So there was this one friend of SSR who was introduced
Mm,
in the media, not the one who is still present in the campaign, but the one
yeah,
who is just nowhere to be found these days.
yeah.
The only one who has a picture with SSR in a genuine way.
Mm,
Otherwise, the other friend is not.
mm,
So, if you talk about this one friend, in his own words, he was employed with someone earlier in the past,
mm,
and who was actually present in the city where Asif Basra died,
mm, yeah.
along with
Mm,
someone in whose house Riya Chakravarti was living while the CBI questioning was ongoing. The Bhavan, if you remember,
mm,
the the Maurya Bhavan.
mm,
So I hope what I'm trying to connect, right? Riya Chakravarti came into life of Sushant Singh Rajput
mm,
when he started getting close with Sara.
yeah,
Now, it could also be a possibility that just to deflect Sara from his life, Riya might have been planted, and
yeah.
who's behind it, nobody knows.
Mm,
I mean, I just tried connecting it by one of the friends who was
mm,
associated,
mm,
who was also introduced in the news channels.
mm,
He himself said that he had worked with
mm,
someone who was present in Dharamshala or McLeodganj when this
mm.
happened with Asif Basra. Right. So there are a lot of things. Rohan Rai, why
See,
is he quiet?
Bharat, see the way, Asif Basra was taken out after his death is shocking, you know. And they say it was a suicide. Okay. Why was this tent sort of thing used to cover him? Why didn't they take him out in a proper, a respectful manner, in the ambulance? What was this? They were just throwing him out like a dog. You know, I just can't understand it. And Asif Basra, according to his colleagues, was one of the finest actors, who joked
Yes.
that he was never depressed. So don't please tell us that this is another case of depression. You know,
The worst part is that their families are simply accepting that it was depression, loss of
yeah.
money, or they were struggling.
Mm, mm,
It's only SSR's family. I thank them. I
mm,
thank them that they are here to fight. They stood
yeah,
for the fight. I mean, rest all, including Disha Salians, they say don't drag my daughter's name anymore.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe because of her association with a lot of other people in the line of work that she was in.
Also, Bharat, see, the fact is, this nexus, they know very clearly that middle class families, they live on their reputation, you know. So
True.
if anything happens, the first thing they do is withdraw into their shell, rather than exposing the evil and the whatever has happened in that case and expose the culprits, they retract, and they go
True.
into their shell, which is the biggest problem that India has. If
Yes.
middle class families would only expose what happened to their children, at least the law enforcers could act faster.
No, but we are more on the orthodox side, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
more on a side wherein we
This is
would
what they
care
know.
about our
Yeah,
image first. Yes,
yeah,
and that may be one of the reasons why a lot of people, a lot of family members didn't come forward. But I'm glad that SSRs did, because he was the one who was planning to expose everything in and out.
yeah, yeah,
And those DVRs, the data that has been taken, that had everything. I just pray to God that the data has been recovered by CBI.
yeah,
Even if they have 50-60% of data, because I'm sure they would not be able to reconstruct the entire data if it has been destroyed.
yeah.
Even if they have 50-60% of the data, that would make the case much more stronger. The other thing which is making the case weak is the time of death. So I've spoken to a couple of people from the legal background itself, and the only thing that they say is when this case would go in front of the Supreme Court with a charge sheet, they would only ask one thing: what's the time of death? Because that is something which proves a lot of things.
Mm.
Because the time of death is something which could prove a lot of theories right and a lot of theories wrong. Whether it happened in the ambulance while going to the hospital, that's why it took 4 years, 4 hours, my bad, or whether it happened in the night, 12 to 15 hours prior, because of which the rigor mortis kicked in. The makeup man, who was there, was he there to like hide the bruises, which he couldn't do? I guess he shouldn't be hired at all. Moving further, he was bad
See,
at his
Bharat,
work.
just giving Siddharth Pithani and Riya Chakravarti third degree, everything will come out. What time he died and what time they.
A narco test, not even third degree, a narco test could do
Yeah,
everything.
that's
Trust me,
enough.
because
They can do it.
Siddharth
They can.
Pithani, not just Siddharth Pithani, I would say every inmate.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when this
Trust.
was happening, when they're saying that all the series of events started happening from
Yeah,
10:30 a.m.,
yeah.
when all this was happening, Mr. Dipesh Sawant was busy in texting Kushal Zaveri
Mm,
that, Sushant asked me to get in touch with you, regarding to so and so company.
mm, mm,
Could you please? The next revert of
mm,
of him is to Dipesh is that, is bhai okay? Just reply yes or no.
mm.
We are standing outside. Just call us if you need anything. So that's how the timeline goes. That it started at 10:56 something, the messages, and it went on till 2 o'clock.
Mm.
So what were you doing in the messages when all this was happening? There
And
there is this
they were
ambulance.
also having dinner. They were having dinner. Can you imagine? Peacefully.
Yep, yep. They were playing games.
Mm,
Because if you see the PlayStation ID of Sushant Singh Rajput, which we still can access, so I have a
mm,
PlayStation though. I accessed his PlayStation ID. So what happens is when we play any game, if we are reaching any kind of an achievement, we
mm.
unlock achievements, right? We
Yeah,
earn trophies, so we earn virtual trophies on PlayStation.
yeah.
So the best part is that the PlayStation IDs keep records of these trophies. I've checked. There is a trophy that Sushant Singh Rajput has earned in the Call of Duty game at 9:38 a.m., which is impossible, on June 14th. It's still there on the PlayStation ID.
Mm,
It's just PSN ID that's there.
mm.
All the details are there. He was playing games since someone was playing PlayStation
Someone,
since
yes.
morning 7 o'clock till 9:30, 9:38 a.m. That is the last trophy that I have checked.
Also, here, see, Bharat, I wanted to ask you a question. See, since you're in this field, see, a lot of the people say that this was to be a telecast on the dark web, okay, where they make a lot of money by showing these things, and then it's not traceable because the money is completely in cryptocurrency. So, not only this, everything. It could be Disha's, murder. It could be this. So, can you just tell me what is your opinion on that?
See, I'll very well agree with the fact that dark web is untraceable. I would very well agree with the fact that cryptocurrencies only works with dark web, in a good manner, because they are also known as untraceable currencies.
Yeah.
But if you talk about execution video or execution relay of SSR's murder or Disha's murder on dark web, I don't think. Why? Let me tell you that. Because if someone is doing such a big crime of such a person, understanding the fact that a lot of big agencies would get involved moving further, if they get hold of dark web, then they can have their hands on Pandora's box.
Mm.
They can get a lot of more things. Why would they risk it? No, I don't think. Yes, dark web is used for the kind of drugs which Riya Chakravarti was procuring.
Yeah, that is a common
Which,
knowledge.
yeah. So dark web is used for that, but relaying of a murder video of a dark web, that sounds like a fairy tale to me. I
But
don't.
it's happening.
There are
It's happening in
there are
America.
execution videos. Yes,
Yeah, it's
there
happening.
are execution videos on dark web, but Indians have not reached that level. Indians are not that tech savvy to be working on dark web and uploading a video, because uploading a video on dark web takes a lot of codings. Takes a lot
And
of codings.
what do you think
Yeah.
would have happened in the case of Jhanvi Kukreja? If you're
To
following
be
that
very
case.
frank, I didn't follow that
Okay.
case to the T.
Then it's okay.
So
That's fine.
I
Because I
did
feel
the overbrief, because the same kind of a thing happened wherein all the friends had different theories on what happened.
and she had 43 wounds and a very deep one
Yes.
in the skull. So,
So all of the friends
in,
who were present in the house are, party to the crime. I would say they
and
are
they're too
equal
scared to
and
talk.
party. Yeah, they are kids. I mean, see, this is the very age which gets targeted by these modeling agencies these days. That like they start with drugs, they escalate things to the other level. Prostitution
Yeah.
comes into play. So this is all a big nexus, a big organized market of crime which is already
Yeah.
being run under the noses of these big bosses sitting in Mumbai. And it's not just connected to Dubai. Trust me, if anyone starts digging Indonesia, if anyone starts digging Singapore, a lot of things will come.
Yeah. See, in a way, Bharat, I'm glad that, we have a government that's led by Modi ji, because, at least the federal agencies are being given a free hand to do.
Yeah.
See, if it was
Yeah.
under, Sonia Gandhi, the government would have done nothing, because they
The
are a
case
part
would
of the
have been closed
Mahavikas
by now.
Aghadi. Yeah, everything would have been closed, and perhaps even these culprits would have got awards, of various
CBI wouldn't have come into
forms of
picture.
chivalry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bharat. It's been a very interesting talk. Yeah. And join us again for another session.
Sure,
Our
it was
viewers are
it was a
also.
great experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me here. But
Yeah.
I would, before going, the last thing that I would request all the viewers to is,
Yeah.
please don't stop raising the voice. SSR needs us all. This is the need of the hour.
Absolutely.
Let's just
Patience is
simply
important.
stand for it. Yes,
Yeah.
let's start keep raising questions every day.
Yeah.
No worries. Keep raising
Thank you, Bharat.
questions. Keep patience. Thank you so much.
And good night.
Same to you.